interested in fish farming and you want to start fish farming in Zambia, this video is for you. Hi everyone, if you're new, this is Naturally Afro-Sis. I usually do videos to do with natural hair, but today I'm going to do a different type of video. Today I want us to talk about the other things that I like to do, and this is fish farming. So I'm going to give you tips on how you can start fish farming in Zambia as a beginner. I'm not a pro, I'm only about 2 months plus into it. I only have a certificate in fish farming, and I'll give you the details of how I got trained and where I did the training from. But before you start watching, please make sure you hit subscribe and turn on your notification button, and make sure you comment and give me feedback. There's so many people that are asking for information on how to start fish farming and the like, and I realized that even when I wanted to start, I would go to Google, YouTube, fish farming in Zambia, and I never used to find the information that I wanted. So since I started, I've figured that not everyone would be fortunate enough to be able to find the information the way I found it, because some of it was unintentional, which eventually led me to finally going for it. Tip number 1, so information. First things first, you need to have information. Visit other people's farms. You can look at farms that are successful, those that are just starting, and even if they seem to be struggling, it will be a lesson for you to be able to start. So don't be shy to ask them a lot of questions, because you should be honest enough to tell them that you are interested in starting. So you tell them that you want to start, and you ask them the good, the bad, how they are managing, their struggles and the like. After visiting a few farms, I was fortunate enough to happen to be on a work tour which involved fish farms, both by the open rivers and those that are constructed like in farms. Yeah, so I happened to be in a group that went to Kaswaya University. It was very nice. It was just like God had just sent me to go there. I was so much interested in the fish farming, and fortunate enough, we even found that the fish was ready for harvest. So we met the lecturers from aquaculture. I asked a lot of questions. Some of them were even going out of topic, but they ended up benefiting me to the point where by the time I was coming back from that trip, I was convinced I was going to be a fish farmer. So when I reached work, back to the office, and then my workmate also tells me that there's this man who happened to be her teacher in secondary school, who is a fish farmer, trainer. He conducts trainings and blah blah blah. So she encouraged me to visit the farm. So that's another tour that we conducted, and did I get shocked. He had big ponds, you know. I was thinking of child's play pond, but when we went there, the ponds are so big, and there are many, and he doesn't hide the amount of money that he makes, the profits and stuff. He encouraged us all to start. So a month later, he was conducting training, and I registered. It's a practical training. It's 3 full days. If you want, you lodge. They have a lodge at the, I think it's a training center stroke research center, their farm. It's called Breathing Fish Farm. Yeah, so we went for the training, and I made sure I invited my other colleague, I invited my brother, I also invited one of the workers from the farm. I took 3 people. So we went, did the training. It's so hands-on, it's practical. The first thing that you do is harvest fish, because that's what you're going to have for lunch. So you can imagine the excitement that you get. The first thing is to harvest and eat. You eat what you're seeing that is being produced. So it was nice. We did the training. I got my certificate. So I was trained in pond construction and all that jazz. After the training, in fact, whilst we were being trained, we even started constructing our ponds, because we were going to use an excavator, and bringing the excavator to the farm, we had to pay something. So when you bring the excavator, you pay something, whether it does one or not. In fact, when it does one, it's your loss. So we decided to bring it once, and it digs 4. I was being trained and 4 ponds were being dug. We were supervising. It was a lot of sun work. I had a lot of sunburn. Warning to all the ladies, there's nothing like black don't crack. It will crack. If you are in the sun almost the whole day, you're going to burn. You need to wear protective wear. It's not bougie to wear a hat to protect yourself from the sun or to wear some sunscreen. Yeah, you need it. Trust me, I got burnt. By the time I was finishing the training, the excavation was also done. If you want, you can even do it manually. You can even dig the ponds yourself manually, but it's going to take you a lot longer. We decided to just engage someone and we used an excavator which did it in just 2 days, I think. Yeah, they finished. But even as the excavator was working, why tip number 1 on information is important. At one point, he made the pond flat, but he was claiming that it was steeping on one end. I had to point out, just from being trained on how the pond is supposed to be, this is not correct. So when I mentioned it to the contractor, he quickly told the person who was managing the excavator to correct it before it was too late. Anyway, they corrected it and all. That is why I'm stressing on the importance of tip number 1, information, that you need information. As much as you're going to engage someone else to do it for you, you also need to have the information as well. You need to cross-check to see, are they doing the correct thing and stuff like that. So tip number 2 is land. Do you have the land? Yes, most of us in Zambia have land, and we tend to acquire beautiful pieces of land that are traditional. Sometimes that can be a challenge because you can invest in your ponds and then they grab the land from you. So you have to ensure that the land that you use is yours, or you've got some documentation on it, preferably on title, and yours, not anybody else's. And then tip number 3, you also look at the source of water. Let me tell you an interesting story. We had one borehole which was servicing veggies. Still newbies also in that area. The time we were doing the training, it was in the hottest and driest period in the country, so the levels of water were showing signs that they wouldn't be able to service the ponds. I've already mentioned that we were only going to work with one because we only had money for one, but even then we required a lot of water, so we decided that we were going to do another borehole that was going to service the 4 ponds, probably because they're not so big. So the first time we hit a dry borehole, it was so discouraging. They told us not to bury it, but instead we should protect it. And I'm sure most of you will start saying you should have done the siting, and we engaged 2 people to do the siting, 2 qualified people. They did the siting and everything. So one area that was sited was near to a mukuyu tree, and most people say where you find a mukuyu tree, there's a high likelihood that there will be a lot of water. So we decided to go for that same section, but it was a dry borehole, so we left it at that. Of course, we were going to incur some loss there. When we moved on to another section at 9 meters, we found lots of water, so they kept on going under to see, and they found there was no water. And the yields, the people that were drilling, they told us that the yield was 1 liter per second, and that wasn't going to be enough for the 4 ponds. So we were discouraged. We were thinking maybe we should wait until we do another borehole, and it turned out that borehole was very costly because at 9 meters it kept on collapsing, so we had to use metal casings throughout. So that was the most expensive borehole we've ever done. Hope it never tries in future, but it was what it was. And you know why I liked that training? It was so timely. We've done several boreholes, but I've never really paid attention to the yield and all that detail. During the training, we were being taught that you need to know the yield of your water so that you know how long it would take for you to fill up the pond, and if it has the capacity to even fill up your pond. So in that moment, during a break, because it was a personal question, I approached him on the side and asked him about the water situation at his farm, and the story he narrated was that he actually had a challenge when he did his first borehole, it was only going to give him, I think he must have said 1 liter per second as well, and it looked like it wasn't going to be enough. But it's a long story that he talked about, which was so inspiring. He said that was not going to stop him, so he started, and there he is. Obviously you need to invest in more boreholes. So I thought, this water has nothing on us, we're going to start. So that's how we got encouraged, and also just carried on with our projects, and we started. And by the way, the training we were doing it with teachers. No disrespect, but they behave like they are students. They made the training fun, and like if it were people in my office, maybe it would have been boring because most of us would have just been quiet. But the teachers really made it fun. Apparently the schools also want to do fish farming in order to make extra income for the school, which is a good thing. Tip number 4, you need now to gather courage to do it. You know, there's a tendency to fear failure, fear to fail. Like, will I manage? I'm not trained in aquaculture, but the practical training kind of gives you the courage, and the trainer is so motivating. You should go there. Don't fear failure. Just start. You fail, you pick up the pieces. So anyway, I even had more information. I had the courage now to start. Tip number 5, of course, you have to have some amount of money. You need to know this. The major thing that you need for a pond where you dig and it's not clay soil, you need to put the pond liner. I don't want to go in the details. This is just an introduction and tips for you to start. Details, we can go in them later. The pond liner are in different sizes. They call them microns. Yeah, so the common one is 500 microns, and it tends to be very expensive, but there are different sizes. So you have 250 microns, you have 100 microns, I think you also have 50 if I'm not mistaken. So these are different prices, but the lower you go with the microns, the cheaper it is and the more affordable it is. But it also goes with the strength. So you'll find that maybe the 500 micron can last you about 8 years or more, and then maybe the 300 maybe 5 to 6, and then the 250 maybe 1 to 3 or so. Yeah, so the thing is, it's up to you. Do you want to start with the cheaper pond liner, or you want to wait until you have enough resources to buy a more expensive pond liner? So that's a debate that now we remained with my husband. From the quotations that we had collected of the 500 micron, it was going to be very costly, and we were never going to start the project at that time because it was proving to be expensive. So we were going to have to wait another longer period to start. But with the advice from the training, we decided to go for a lower micron pond liner. We got 250 microns. I think they were about 6 or 7. They were supposed to be joined. I was trained in pond joining, but you know, it's like baking. You can learn how to bake bread, but not everyone ends up baking their own bread. We all go to buy. So we decided to outsource for some of these things. So we got this amazing gentleman, Mr. Kaswaya Chiboola. He helped us during his off days from work. Now he's full-time into it, so he did the joining for us. He went with his team. They prepared the ponds for the lining and the lines. They even put the drainages. Yeah, they did everything, and in all that process, my husband and I were always going there. So one pond was done, and then one weekend, 04 in the morning, they decided to go to Chirundu and they collected the fingerlings. Then we went to the farm with the kids. We were all excited to stock the first pond, and we started taking pictures of them. The first pond was 4,700 fingerlings, but of course with the extras that they do give you for just in case. I don't know whether I can call it insurance. Yeah. So then the guy who was trained started looking after it. We would check on him. I even went on leave, just try and be there for the start. And also I would go there every day in the morning. To cut the long story short, we started with one pond, and then some months, much later, we moved on to another pond and we stocked it as well. But now, instead of buying the fingerlings from Chirundu, we discovered a new place in Showgrounds where we bought. And yeah, so during the training you will be told what fingerlings to buy. It's important to buy good quality fingerlings. Don't buy the mixed sex. You don't buy males and females if you want to do it as a business. Buy those that are already sex reversed. What remained was for us to manage the water. It's very interesting. So I think with this video I should be able to end here. This video was just to encourage you to take a leap of faith and jump into it and do it, but you don't have to just do it blindly. Do it with a lot of information and you're going to succeed. Other issues to do with security, challenges and stuff, we're going to discuss them later. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, share, and make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification button. We want to grow together as fish farmers. Yeah, that is how we started our fish farming. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have, please give it a like and share, and make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification button because it will help me a lot. And if you like to see more of such videos, let me know in the comments down below. I have not harvested yet. I'm still also a learner, but so far so good. So we can grow together. I'm also interested in learning how to grow vegetables like cabbage, tomatoes, strawberries. I've started trials, I've failed in some areas and stuff, and I think I also share my failures and stuff like that, but still learning. So I would really love to learn from you. So please give the information. If you have more information, just put it down in the comments below, and if there's anything that you want me to help you with, please be sure to comment and I'll be able to answer your questions, and I'll be able to at least give you the leads of where to go, who to contact, who has helped us, and the like. So thank you very much for watching this video. Bye. See you in the next one.